All right, so I thought this would be a good topic to kind of discuss because really, just with my own experiences, lately that have been getting brought up that again I had no idea about, kind of a lot of the reason why we're, different parts of all of us who are trying to clear up certain things from each timeline. And I had shared, previously before about, different time periods that I had both male and female lives in, Atlantis, Lemuria, things like that. As a woman, I kind of went into what I had went through, but not like fully. Um, I had said for those that have not seen that video, this lifetime, um, since I was a kid, I used to sleep with my hands like straight up in the air. And I'm talking this happened for years, up until I want to say the last time I remember doing it was a little before I hit 30. Um, just randomly like woken up, like just, and it was as if I was like, like handcuffed or being tied, or it was just the strangest thing. And more or less recently, last year, I had done some clearing for, Lemuria. I went back, did a meditation for that, had a really cool experience there. Um, but then, kind of when this, I would say it was two different ones, but this went into more detail as the female lifetime that I experienced in Atlantis, and it was not fun. Um, it was more based, again, kind of the downfall of Atlantis, where the purity in, sexual nature here, okay? So before the, fall of Atlantis, I had briefly mentioned this, keeping the sacral chakra pure. They only had sex to produce children. Other than that, it was a very sacred, space. Like they weren't just going around, how it is today, more or less, giving away their sexual energy. Because again, that energy inside of us is so powerful. And, just how things are, and how they've been, more or less. You really have to be mindful, and a lot of people might not still be aware of how important sexual energy is because, when you are having sex with multiple different people, it's not just about the sex in nature. It is about the energy that's being transferred between the two people. Okay. Now, if someone doesn't practice, spiritual cleanliness, right, where they're energetically getting it out of their system, what you're ultimately doing is holding on to not only the person you had sex with, their energy, but all the people that they have had sex with before. And then all those people's that they, so you see what I'm saying? It's just like a big old line of bullshit, okay? That you don't want to carry around. That is why, when Atlantis was at its prime, Lemuria, everything was more sacred because they understood the practice of it. They understood that's part of our life force, right? And again, it's not to say, if you are, you know, having sex now, even, and you're, you know, more aware and you're more conscious of it, and you do take those precautions, because I'm not gonna lie, I make sure, if I do, but I haven't in a while, but I'm just saying that's a little personal, but if I do, I make sure that I clear that energy out immediately. I cut the cord right away. I don't really care, because you know what? I didn't work this hard to carry around someone else's baggage and, sexual energy that's not mine or their partners before that. And it's just a big cluster of people's energy that I do not want in my field. So I have even learned the importance of this, how really, it does affect. And I'm one of those people, again, we're all walking around at one point really unaware of certain things. So for those of you guys that really haven't done those cord cuttings, that haven't really, practiced with that, where you're clearing out sexual energy, this is the point of what my guides and me wanted to talk about. Because, again, just with talking with other people, you know, what they're going through, more or less, it's very similar in nature here. of what a big thing that we're trying to clear out is that sexual energy. It's all of the, when the fall of Atlantis happened, it started then. I was a woman in that life. I saw myself in this red dress, and the scene after that went to just a nightmare. I was like in a bed, and I was being tied up, and there was multiple men there. It was almost just like oh my God, like it was bad. And I don't know if there were other women there. I'm sure there were, but who were being forced against their will to basically, ultimately, it was some form of like enslavement for sex. And that was something that up until last year I was not even recent, I wasn't aware of. Like, it was that deeply embedded in me. um and after that was cleared, it was just like it all made sense, though. Why my arms were always in the air, and just the things that I've struggled with allowing men to kind of just, more or less, not want to fully, you know commit, or just looked at me like I'm this person to be tamed, or person to like pounce on, and just sexually. And that was, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure a lot of other women have felt this way. I'm sure a lot of men have felt this way. But the point being is, the more I thought about it and kind of was like tuning in into my higher self as well, and my spiritual team, it was like, this is a big deal. This is really a lot of what we're trying to do as well. So just the importance of it, and kind of what I wanted to go over too was, little things that I put together along my journey, through decoding stuff, through songs, through different messages that I get, through different words, and it's kind of putting this big puzzle piece of like where in the time period of our history of humanity that things kind of took that left turn. And I already knew it had everything to do with those two time periods, but going after that, obviously in Greece, obviously in Egypt. There's all different all over the world. These things were happening. When we went into a more dominant masculine energy, because originally Friday the 13th was not a day of bad luck. Okay, it was actually the day that the divine feminine was celebrated in cultures. Friday the 13th was for women, being honored. Okay, and again, here we go with, men or mankind kind of taking things out of sacred text, sacred knowledge, creating the Bible, but yet taking out parts of it that were very important and kind of creating their own. And that's kind of my belief on it. I'm not saying that none of these things happened in parts of Bibles or religions or whatever, but you all know, if you've been tuning into me, I'm not a religious person. I am more omniist. I believe and take a little of what I feel resonates with me. I do have a background here, going to Catholic school, going to churches on Sundays, and baptized, Catholic, and went to CCC. I knew at a young age, though, absolutely, I was totally just, I knew it wasn't right. It wasn't right. And I've said that from day one. I believe that parts of the Bible were true, but I do not believe all of it. And I don't know, I just came in this lifetime knowing that. So that's beside the point. But going back, how Friday the 13th was the day that the Divine Feminine was celebrated, when she was in her glory. A lot of women were the ones that were looked upon, they were queens, it was just they were in their full, free, beautiful, flowing, like, just power. And it wasn't even necessarily like power trying to control. It was that like genuine love. And so somewhere along the way, again, we all got cycles here. The planets have their own, you got the golden age, you got the bronze age, right? Well, we all know that. But what I'm getting at is that I feel like, for those of you who know this already, that the importance of really clearing out the sexual trauma from these timelines. You might not even be aware that you have it, but you do, because again, we're all the same. We're all from the same source. So really, my memories are your memories are my memories, right? We're going through this together. And whether or not you chose this time period to kind of, that's the area that you were going to, whatever, focus on clearing up here, you know, it might not resonate for you right now. But again, on a collective level, these are memories that multiple people are having. You know, I'm having conversations with people who I've never met before, but we're having such similar, vivid scenes here, that when we meditate, it's like it's a thing. It's real, you know. So I wanted to bring that up and really just kind of go into, you know, again, now here's a part here, you know, okay, so what I put together, right? The parting of the seas, right? The Red Sea. Now, it was Moses. M to me is the masculines, right? Moses, they call, you know, whether he was obviously a person or not. In my mind, how I'm decoding it too, it's like, okay, the parting of the Red Sea, the Great Divide, okay? Red. Somehow I got the word reed from it, okay? Which reed means person or thing too weak to rely on, easily swayed or overcame, right there. The masculines, the Israelites of Egypt, I'm pretty sure of what I know about it, like, you know, something where they were, you know, saved from enslavement of Egypt. So there was a group, okay, that was saved from the enslavement. And again, the parting of the Red Sea. So it was like weeding out, like, oh, who's, you know, weak and who's not, who can be controlled or dominated or suppressed, right? That was where the great divide, in my opinion, you know, the parting of the Red Sea, that's what they were talking about, what was going on, you know, more or less, as well. And with that too, I kind of wanted to bring up the point here about this whole Lucifer and Lilith thing, right? Because it is so crazy to me that when I had done a meditation, that I went to this dimension that was absolutely insane. Okay, and I had written this down, and I just shared this with a friend because he had a very similar experience. But what I had seen was this dimension was absolutely, it was, oh my god. Okay, so imagine if you're going into like a club, like a nightclub, where those lights are just flashing. It's like a trance, okay? And it's very, very sexual, predatory in nature. And what I saw was my part of my soul, okay? It was like this light, it was like a ball of light, but it was like my soul. But I saw like bound, like something being bound and tied around it, and there was a bunch of other ones there, like other people, other souls, and it was just, it kept flashing, and it was quite terrifying, because you could tell it was such a dark dimension, like it was. And it was, when I tell you the overwhelming feeling, so I saw myself in this, like my soul anyway, and it was like bound. And the best way I could explain it, okay, if you saw the movie, The Little Mermaid, with the sea witch, right, Ursula, if you remember the part where Ariel gave her voice, and then she had the other souls that she had made these deals with, right? Like a deal with the devil, right? And they were in that little like bubble thing, and they were all shriveled up and like bound. That is exactly what, more or less, what I saw. And someone else that I spoke with saw the same thing. And this is the first time I'm hearing that what I saw, you know, someone else has experienced the same thing. It was absolutely insane. And here we go with this. So it was like, now again, what did she give away? She gave away her voice in exchange for whatever it was. So this was very real. Like, it wasn't The Little Mermaid, but again, you know, a lot of movies are based on actual things here, guys. You know, we're very well aware of that. And that's what it was. This dimension, and I had wrote down, it was so sexual in nature, to where I could feel things trying to climb up my leg, trying to pin me down. I was so scared. I kept rebuking it. I kept rebuking this energy, saying that they, you know, whatever, again, wherever I was in this meditation, it was absolutely just very dominant, very forceful, things like that. So it scared me. And I remember trying to, okay, at one point when I was seeing my soul all bound up like that, wherever this dimension was, I had tried to come in, and more or less, like, I was headed towards my soul, trying to like save myself here. And I remember that I was, all of a sudden, now I didn't see the face, but I could feel the presence of a woman who absolutely blocked me. I mean, I was headed this way. Here's like where the, all these other people are around. They're, and there's all this like trance thing going on. It's fucking creepy is what it was. Okay. And as I'm trying to go like rescue my own soul here, right? This more or less like just a feminine, and I knew it was a feminine. I never saw the face, but it was a feminine energy that was who came right in front of me, and immediately, like, I was just rebuking it. I was trying to get these things that were crawling on my legs, like, off of me, and basically I jumped out of it. So, like, I came back to, and I was just like, what the F was that, right? And this was about 2 years ago that this happened. So again, now fast forward to the meditative state that I was in, where I, saw myself as a woman in Atlantis, and all that sexual stuff that was happening and going on in that time period. Again, this was the fall of Atlantis, right? So what I'm getting at here is that is basically a huge part of what we're trying to clear. And that's why my guides and, the different, beings that I am in contact with have really been heavily on me as well about getting that out there about the sacral chakra and how important that is to clear out. And again, with your root chakra, right? Because a lot of that trauma, is also going to affect your root chakra, whether you know it consciously or not. Again, all these timelines we're trying to clear up here. So that's more or less the root chakra is being affected. It's your stability in all forms, okay? Emotional, financial, physical, how you feel safe in the world, right? It is your stability in general. So I didn't really realize that those two areas, because of things that like I was unconsciously, I was carrying around with me, obviously, like we all have this, collective consciousness, as one, as source, like God, Mother God, call it whatever you want. I just call it the divine, but yeah, I think that they're really trying to get us to make sure that we are not suppressing our voices anymore and allowing these things to continue on. Because you know what, out of nowhere, last week, like I was doing a meditation to more or less connect with my Lyrian roots, right? So I had one of my Lyrian guides, and I was remote viewing all this shit. It was insane. But the pain that came over me afterwards, and I was having this conversation, it was all around my throat. It felt like I'm bawling my eyes out crying because I couldn't speak. My throat hurt so bad, and it was just this blockage that I didn't even know again was there. I mean, I get it, I have struggled with communicating, I've always suppressed my feelings, and again, it was kind of like, okay, so this is where it's coming from though. And a lot of other people, obviously, you guys, whoever this is relating for as well, I think that goes on a broad, spectrum here, that, there's some of us that are really, really bad at it, that don't talk at all or talk about our feelings, but then there's others who, may more or less, but also suppress the, darker feelings that we have, or, the pain that we really do carry, and because you don't know where it's coming from, right? So I just thought that was so interesting, because again, I had a channel message that I had posted about, kind of what was going on with the divine masculine in general inside of all of us, right? Just the energy checks that I do with that. But also at the bottom of that, I had got the message about warrior women rising. And that's exactly what's going on here, is that the feminine side of all of us here is really, that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to raise Gaia's consciousness and bring back the new golden age, right? Where and again, a nice balance, but, being in more of our feminine energy. Feminine is the creation, right? The feminines give birth, and it's just the energy, and it's not about power here, like who has more power. We should be equally balanced in us, to where a man should not feel threatened by a woman's, power, and a woman should not feel, threatened by a man's power. It should be an like equality here. That's what we're lacking, is the equality, and how much the women were suppressed. And again, we all carry that energy. So, even if you're a masculine, your emotional side has been suppressed. A lot of men were not taught how to basically communicate. They were told to suppress their feelings. Oh, tough guys don't cry. Suck it up, and just, you got to work the rest of your life until, make the money, and you're supposed to be the breadwinner and provide for the no. Things need to change. That is so outdated. And it's kind of where I'm getting at with this. It's just about, if this is something that, your guides have been bringing up to you, or this is something that you definitely have been through, whether it is this lifetime, because again, I've been through it this lifetime too, but it also stems from all the other ones. So, taking the time really to try to dive a little deeper, and just kind of sit with that, and really look at how you're viewing sex in its nature and just in general, and try to really see if you are practicing healthy boundaries now, and you're not allowing a man or a woman to suppress your thoughts and your feelings, and your opinion. You matter, right? The other thing too here, it's that's what I think went unnoticed though. So here's the big thing. Now we all know who Lucifer is, right? They make him more of a, the man, right? The devil is a man. But again, Lilith goes very unknown here, or unnoticed. Not that she's unknown, but for me and someone else to have the same experience where he was like, oh my God, now that you say that, I could tell it was a female. It's like, oh my God, I put it together. It's like, it's the, so again, there are women who are more dominant like that. It just is, Lucifer, Lilith, right? There's a pair for everything, when it comes to, whether it's a couple of the light or it's a couple of the dark, right? But to have that experience in that dimension, and then to find out somebody else was going through the same thing and had that experience in a different way, as a man, it was just absolutely insane. So I definitely, wanted to talk about that and just kind of bring that up, because that's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to not have that great divide anymore. We're trying to bring it back to a unit, to unity, a unit of one though, with it, and that's within ourselves first. Absolutely, like, you have to be balanced in your masculine and your feminine energy first before you can ever really, and this is my opinion, and it's just proven, before you can ever really experience what real love actually really is, unconditional love, a love where, it's not a give and take, like, oh, you do this for me and I'll do this for you, or one woman having to be, having a, let's say it's a man, right? A man expecting a woman to, bring that emotional side, but also to be more in her masculine side and do everything, and, treat the dude as if he's like a kid. No, you have to have, both partners have to have that balance in them, and that's exactly where all of us here, we're doing that. We're working on that, and that is the ultimate goal, is to balance that within ourselves. And then again, you will find a twin flame, divine counterpart, whatever you want to call it. Again, the twin flame is the recognition, right, of our own duality. It really is. You have source, I said this before, the Trinity, okay? And then it's about, okay, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? And again, a lot of you guys probably already know this, the ones who already, subscribe to my channel. But if you don't, like, that's really what it is. The twin flame is the recognition of the duality. It's a mirror. So once you realize that you're mirroring, your masculine, your feminine side, you have it, right? But now it's about also finding someone that's on the same frequency. Yeah, okay, who's very aware and has that, like, balance, but also who, it's again, it's an emotional frequency. So, and I've talked about this in a few videos, but anyway, I just thought that was really cool to talk about. So just to be mindful, that is definitely an area that, I still feel is a big deal out there. People just not really looking at sex like it's a big deal, but it really is. And I think if we're going to kind of, keep, raising the consciousness and the vibration of the planet and everything like that, it just would be very helpful for all of us to continue to be mindful of that, and keep kind of, just doing check-ins with ourselves, and just making sure we're practicing safe methods, energetically anyway, as well as physical, stuff like that. But yeah, the warrior women are rising, and it's time. It really is. So, anyways, I just thought this was a different topic. And, you know, definitely am going to be doing different things like this more because, to be honest with you, this is also something I'm really passionate about, different topics, you know, to discuss. And, you know, you guys can feel free to comment, share your experiences, share your stories. You all know I love that kind of stuff. It makes my day hearing, you know, how it related to you. Is it something you're still going through? Is it something you struggle with? Like, you know, what are your thoughts on this? Or, and if you already kind of cleared a lot of that, you know, share your story if you feel comfortable with that, because anything helps, you know. um, Something that you may know other people may not know, and that's why sharing knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So something you read on the comments thing might really help you in your own situations, or you might help somebody else. um, so anyways, again, thank you all the guys, all you guys. Oh my god, I swear today, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, thank you everybody for all your support, your likes, your shares, subscribes. And I truly do appreciate it. And if we could keep continuing to try to do that, you guys could help me out with that. Again, I'm a growing channel, so all that algorithm ish I do not know much about, but I do know it helps get out there more. So I really appreciate that. And I will definitely see you guys on the next one.